Hello everyone, Ron again. In this video, we're going to talk about the latter half of Vocodex down here. So, in the last video, which would be how to use Vocodex part 2, I was talking about this, and so we pretty much covered all of that. So I'm not going to go back into it. But if you do want to know about it, then check out that video. So, we have this to cover. We get down here. We can cover all of these, but they're relatively straightforward, and these two. So I'm going to start here because it's simple. All of these you can look up in the manual, or maybe I'll do a video on them, but like these are different functions not unique to Vocodex, so I'm not going to really cover them. You know, some of them are obvious, like it'll flip whatever envelope vertically, scaling the levels. If you made like an LFO or a sequence using create sequence, for example, right? You can analyze an audio file, and if you save whatever shape you make here, you can open it later. It's got presets too. So, you know, that's for a different video. This right here, let's say, all right, so this is the step editor, right? And it makes it so that normally to add a point, you have to right click, and then it affects one point at a time, and it moves it if you click it again. When you use step editing, what it does is allows you to draw a series of small points like this. And rather than having to click an individual point to erase it, you just hold down the right click and you can erase like this as you go. So this is when you want to fine tune stuff and you want to do it quickly without having to draw a whole bunch of points. This is snap into the grid. It's kind of similar to, you know, like if you were to snap to the grid anywhere else, but it's just, in this case, EQ amounts rather than, say, if you went to, not there, if you went here, snap into the grid gives you like time values. So, you know, self-explanatory. This one, let's say you have a bunch of points and then it's not step editing and you want to move all of them because you move one. That's what this does. It makes it so you slide the rest, you know, rather than just sliding one point with it turned off like this. So that's that. That's easy to understand, quick to get out of the way. And these give you envelopes for every actual parameter that's right here. So you can change how they act according to different frequencies or different volumes, I believe. This one is the cool one. So we're going to look at this one first, though. The envelope follower. It freezes the envelope in place and it freezes whatever is happening at the time when it's pressed. So it says in the manual you can automate this for cool effects, and I was just playing around with it because I really didn't know what it did. But I was like, I should talk about it. But now I understand it. So we're going to look at that first before we go into this. So if I press play.
House music. House music.
Right? That's without this. But if I press it while it's playing.
House me. When you be. Okay, let's go.
See? So you can freeze an instance in time. That'll be useful. That's really cool. Especially, well, I might make a video where I'm getting into what it's like when you decide to flatten whatever the modulator is, and then you can actually control the notes that are being played, make them harmonic and stuff. But that'll be in the future, you know. And anyway, any case, that'll be useful if you just want to do something that's real cool, you know, for some sustaining purpose, or you want to make the words longer or whatever. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. So here, if you go through these one by one, they are self-explanatory, but I could do some editing of the sound to show some of the things I would do. It's not really so complicated. The main one I use is this band gain multiplier. because I edit it the same way I would edit the vocal. So in this area is de-essing. In this area is boxiness. In this area is clarity. And the area right here varies. And over here, you can have nasality. So that's usually how I think about editing vocals. You know, but when you're editing to edit the sound of a synthesizer, you could have resonances too, but like they could result from the carrier sound or from the modulator. So you don't really know, and it will sound different vocode in different words. The key is that you want to use language that is spoken slowly rather than something like hip hop lyrics when you're vocoding, you know? So you can see how this is really clear because it's speaking and it's not so fast. It's like house music and it's clear. Like it's clear what is being said in the original vocal. That's what I'm saying. Those are the types of vocals or like different things that you want to use as modulators because then they are not producing extra noise. You know, like if I was to vocode a breath, which I'm not going to do because I like you who watch, you know, like why would I want to hurt you? but like, but if I did vocode a breath, you would see how awful and metallic it sounds. A robot breathing would just not sound good. So it's good that they don't. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's get into this. Let's check it out. That was a long enough segue. So I would press play and just EQ. That's what this first one is. Band gain multiplier, EQ.
House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music.
Okay. So let's add this something like that. And I'm just looking to make it sound like whatever type of way. Because another thing to consider is that, like, I might decide I don't want every frequency. So if you go here and make this a whole frequency, drag this down, these will disappear. That's the difference. One difference between like regular EQs. Like Vocodex is making the whole sound, so it can just take out part of it. It's like Harmor, you know? So if I do this.
House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go.
You will notice that the frequencies will all just disappear. And it won't be like normally when you filter things, how they kind of still stay there. Because EQs don't always filter all of the frequencies out. I think there's technical reasons behind them. And I was reading about it once, but it was like kind of boring. So I didn't fully get it. You know, I'm not a programmer or a developer. I use these, but it's good to know. That's why you can EQ something and low pass or high pass once and then go to it in another equalizer that's after that in the chain later, and it's still there. But if you look at plugins like Harmor and I believe this, it'll take out all of those frequencies because it's generating them individually. And that's the purpose of having so many bands. That's one of them. So if I switch this to panning, then we're going to get another basically EQ curve, but it controls the panning, so left to right, of the different frequencies. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure if you would do this. I haven't done it yet, but I guess let's play around with it, see what it sounds like.
House music.
Right. So Is there an LFO? Nah. Make a sequence.
House music. House music. I need a beat. Okay, let's go.
It's interesting.
House music.
Versus everything being more closely in the middle. But probably I wouldn't be doing that. It's kind of weird. I'm interested. You go single curve. Let's see what it sounds like if it's just like this.
House music. House music. I need a beat.
Yeah, you hear the high frequencies are just too far over. They're like
house music. House music. I need a beat. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. So this is right. This is left. Yeah, it's weird though. You would censor bass frequencies. I'm just doing this absent of thought. Probably not so wide, right? Right, like maybe like that. Just want it to be a little bit stereo.
House music. House music. I need a beat. Okay, let's go.
Still wouldn't do it. But I showed you what it does. That was the point. Band gain offset. Not sure. Modulator noise level. So this is a noise gate, right? And basically, it's still got hertz, so it's still dealing with frequencies. But let's say if I put a point here, and for the sake of argument, I left the rest of this alone, then it means a sound that is this low in the frequency spectrum has to reach this volume, which Vocodex is choosing at this point. And it tells you up there, what, negative 49 decibels. It's got to exceed that to be heard. So that's what noise gates do anyway, but you know, that's you can be specific about what ranges of noise you would like to allow in the modulator. I covered that when I was talking about this. This is tied together with this denoising. I think that's a really smart feature. And obviously, as with a regular noise gate, when this is all the way down, it's inactive. Modulated pass-through. This is like basically the same thing this is. You know, but it allows you to select specific frequencies. So you see at the top, it goes up and it goes all the way up to 12 decibels. It goes like that's funny. It goes above the thing labeling the frequencies. You know, that's for if you want to get specific with what frequencies are allowed and how loud each of those are, rather than just controlling the modulator input gain from here only. So hold is this, you know, and all of these have to do with frequencies. So I'm not going to like keep repeating that. These are all things that you can do to, you can say like, I want to change the character of the sound. And I might actually use this because if higher notes are held out, it might make it easier to understand. So let's check it out. If it starts off in the middle, then that means in the middle is not doing anything. And that means that if you put a lower point, then it goes down. And if you put a higher point, then it goes up. That's a universal thing. So let's check this out.
House music. House music. I need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music. I need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music. I need a beat. Okay, let's go.
I think I actually like that. Yeah. Envelope attack and release. Those are both the same as they are up here. You know, editing them throughout the frequency spectrum. And all of this is for the sake of intelligibility. So, as to make a specific sound better. Band distribution. I remember what this is. Okay, band distribution will make certain bands wider.
House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music.
So you can see, if I add points, it's going to make it so a higher amount of the sound is distributed down here.
House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music. We need a beat.
Whereas if this is like this, it's evenly distributed across the whole spectrum. You know,
House music. House music.
so now there's a higher distribution up here.
House music.
What do we have? Bandwidth. So this is this for certain frequencies.
House music. House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go. House music. House music.
And, you know, if you're like me and you think of this as a regular vocal, like as if you were vocal processing a robot, then you might do something like this. I do use this one, but it's not like I use this in a whole bunch of projects. So obviously fit the taste. Modulator pitch shift is this. So
House music. House music.
that's what makes it sound a higher pitch or lower pitch, and this will be specific to frequencies. So if this down here you want to play higher,
House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go.
see, now it sounds like the original because it's like these are going lower and these are going higher, which is kind of like strange as an idea, but it's funny. You know, it's funny to imagine somebody doing something like that, not understanding it, and not like not understanding why it doesn't sound very different. That's funny. Saturation mix is obvious.
House music. House music.
You know, this is going to have a higher amount of saturation in these frequency ranges. Might not use that so much up here. Maybe more down here, because saturation can make higher harmonics. Higher harmonics. Right.
House music. House music.
If I take this back down,
House music.
see,
House music.
sounds a little bit more clear. Saturation curve, just like the other one. Like, if you increase this, then certain parts of it are going to have like louder, they're going to have higher saturation amounts than others, you know? So, certain volumes in this case, when they hit this volume, they're going to be saturated.
House music. House music. We need a beat. Okay, let's go.
Obviously, as you drag it higher, there is more saturation. You know? And this, if I go back up, this right here is the final one that I didn't cover. And it follows this. So if you increase the pitch or you decrease it, then it makes it so that the points basically move by relative to the pitch increase rather than staying stationary. So it's kind of like keyboard tracking in a nutshell. You know, it didn't occur to me that all of them don't have it because the saturation curve doesn't have it, it's grayed out. So that means that if I press this for like this one, then it's not necessarily active here. So you got to do them for each. And before I gained so much interest in this, I felt like stuff like that was annoying, but now I can just appreciate the fine tuning. You know, Vocodex is an awesome plugin, and that basically covers how you use it in the few videos that I've made. I've covered pretty much all of the parameters. I think in one of them I said I didn't know what this did, but it enables threaded processing from the computer if you turn it on. So I learned since then, you know. And I'll tend to do that. If I don't know what something does, maybe I'll explain it later. Or it's not something I use. You know, it might not be important, but it might be something another person would use. And if you understand everything else, then once you figure out what you normally do, if you like master Vocodex, then maybe you can explain it better than I can. And maybe you'll understand how to use it and make a difference in like the finest way that it possibly can. But that wraps up this video, and Vocodex is covered. I don't know what I'm gonna do for the next video. I know I want to continue talking about vocoding and like synthesizers at some point. I want to talk about how I made the synthesizer, like this sound, and why I chose Citrus, and how Citrus works. Because then you could use Citrus for other things, you know, and some of the things that are in Citrus I could explain, like it has this stuff too. And so then you'll be able to use it and it'll make sense here, provided that you watch all the videos. And if you do, then I hope they help you. And with that being said, I thank you if you saw this all the way to the end. And as usual, have an awesome day. Like, comment, subscribe, share, because it helps the channel grow. And peace.